Do you know of a stellar leader or an outstanding organization that deserves a proper shout out? Nominate them for IBJ's awards. From 40 in their 40s and Women of Influence to Nonprofit and Healthcare Excellence Awards, we're celebrating rising stars, seasoned leaders, and organizations making a difference. Discover which programs are accepting nominations now at ibj.com/nominate.
This is the IBJ Podcast for the week of Monday, November 24th, 2025, brought to you by Taft. I'm your host, Mason King. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. 2025 will probably go down as the year artificial intelligence became an inevitable aspect of our lives. Anyone wishing to use it as a research tool, a business strategist, a data filter, a personal coach, or just a chatty companion has easy access to the technology. Indeed, many of the biggest companies in the world have been implementing AI in one way or another. AI can help automate tasks, interpret data, predict needs, improve efficiency, assist customers, assist coders, generate social media content, manage communications, and translate it into any known language. If your company isn't at least investigating how it can integrate AI, your leader should at least have a very compelling case for sitting on the sidelines. There are many reasons why companies are hesitant to take the plunge or even to get their feet wet, but those obstacles, including cost, employee resistance, and lack of technical expertise, are easier to leap than you might think. In this week's edition of the IBJ Podcast, I present a series of scenarios from the point of view of an AI skeptic and ask an AI champion to respond to them. Our guest is Carolyn Goerner, faculty chair of executive education programs at Indiana University's Kelley School of Business, which, among many things, teaches executives and other company leaders how to implement and use AI. She also goes into greater depth on how to coax reluctant employees to become AI adopters. Here's our conversation. It's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Carolyn Goerner, the faculty chair of executive education programs at Indiana University's Kelley School of Business. Thanks for making time today.
Thank you for having me, Mason.
Okay, I have a quick nugget that is relevant to our conversation today. I promised you this is a complete coincidence, but at 3 p.m., 2 hours from now, the IBJ reporters and editors are having a mandatory training session on improving AI literacy and integrating AI tools responsibly and ethically into our department.
It's timely.
It's pretty timely. So I say that to say a couple of things. One is I could not be less qualified to talk about AI. I might be slightly better 2 hours from now. But the second thing I'm curious to know, is this something that you're seeing or hearing about in the corporate world, efforts inside businesses to be more intentional in improving AI literacy and adopting AI in their workflows?
Absolutely. And frankly, it's a good thing that they're stepping up, because one of the things we found in education, sometimes the students get ahead of us and have access to tools that the older instructors just haven't figured out yet. And so when businesses are stepping in now, as this is still on the ascent, and really kind of taking control of the narrative. So here's how we use it responsibly. Here's the data security issues. Here's how it doesn't think, and here's a hallucination that it can give you that looks very real. Those are the kinds of things that allow people to start using it responsibly, as opposed to sort of finding out about it and getting some bad habits and then trying to bring it into workplace culture. So I'm actually delighted with the amount of effort that companies are putting into this, because it's the way to start responsibly.
About a year ago, I can only speak for us here, I think that there was a sense that the beneficial business uses of AI would sort of spontaneously present themselves, or, employees would kind of work with it and figure out, what would make sense. But a year later, we're being much more intentional about bringing employees along and understanding the best use cases. So that is also consistent with what you see.
Absolutely. And I think one of the misconceptions is that if you go play with AI a month ago, you're going to know what it does today. Anything that I learned 4 months ago is not quite obsolete, but ChatGPT was on 3 then, and now it's 5.1. And so I'm looking at it through a different lens. And the ironic thing is it can do more than I thought it could when I started. So the notion of you can't just learn this and then it's kind of like leadership. You don't wake up one day and say, I am a good enough leader. I will stop learning now. And AI is kind of the same way. It's going to be one of those things that we all say, I need to continuously learn and get better at if you want to take it seriously.
This is just my intuition, but it feels to me like we're at the place with AI right now as the same place that we were 20 years ago with SEO or with social media about 15 years ago.
Yes.
Like, it exists. There's a potential for helping your company.
Yes.
But somebody in some department or an entire department needs to take responsibility for getting up to speed and figuring out how to use it.
Absolutely. And I'm old, so I'll even take it a step further. For me, this is kind of what happened when Excel started to come in. And rather than accountants having to tick and tie and actually use the adding machines, we're finding that a lot of the thinking and the proofreading is being done on the screen. So that forced accountants to think differently, to not just say, I'm worried about the accuracy. If I can assume the accuracy, now what can I think about, right? What's next? And I think that's sort of where we are. If I can assume that this routine thinking, the things that should just be on autopilot for me, I'm not using the brain capacity for that. Okay, now what can I do? And for me, that's where it's fun.
So I know enough about AI to know that I don't know anything about AI. It is an absolutely huge field of study. For the purposes of our conversation, is there a particular mode or use case for artificial intelligence that most companies are now investigating?
Most are looking into what we call generative AI or Gen AI. And what you're seeing there is that's really humans interacting with whatever the tool might be in order to say, help me process, help me generate new ideas, help me think through a problem, help me, I teach negotiation to MBAs. And one of the assignments I have them doing right now is to create their own personalized negotiation coach using AI. So when they walk into a negotiation, they can say, I have a tendency to word vomit. I have a tendency to maybe have a stone face and make people think I'm not approachable. But they have to do the work initially to say, here's what I need. Here's that self-awareness. Then they have a coach that can say, hey, you remember that you tend to say too much at first. Think about what your approach is going to be. So it's this really nice way of saying, I first have to do the hard thinking, but then I get a partner that helps me implement that in a new way.
So you can train a coach to train you how to do something.
It can get a little scary.
Yeah.
If the tool gets to know you very well, I've been called out by ChatGPT. I no doubt.
Okay.
True story. Typical. We have a member of my family who, like most 18-year-olds, thinks she knows everything and should run the world, and she was on my last nerve. So I was using my AI coach to basically think through the stakeholders of what we were trying to do and get the logistics worked out. And
this is about your relationship with the 18-year-old or another thing?
It gets there, I swear.
Okay.
And so I'm typing in all of these, so we need to do this, 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 and I need to stay calm so I don't smack Isabel. Right? And it responds with all of the, okay, consider this, this, this. And the last line, I kid you not, was, I don't think physical violence is consistent with your values.
Okay.
It blew me away.
Hold on. Was the Isabel thing a slip?
No, I was just kind of train of thought processing.
Or you were thinking through how to handle the situation with your daughter.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not this grandniece, actually, but yeah.
And grandniece. Okay,
yeah.
grandniece. And then you were using ChatGPT
I was worried
as a sounding
about,
board.
Yeah. And I was, so we need to do this. All of these people need to do this, kind of trying to help me think through. One of the great things about generative AI is it really forces you to think about the prompt. And so you've got to just find the situation and really think about what you want and what your end goal is at the beginning. So I can go in and tell it what persona I want it to take and say, I want you to be, well, a negotiation coach. And I want you to give me the advice that I need to go be effective based on these things that I know about myself.
Right. And this is generative AI. And yeah, and I think from what I know, I mean, that is the way most people use it. Is create something. Use all of the data that has been fed into you, ChatGPT.
Exactly.
There are others, but ChatGPT. And then first, I want to research this problem. Tell me all you know about this. Then give me some ideas of how to approach this problem.
Right.
3, what if I do this? It'll come back to me. What if I do this? It'll tell me what they think about it. Yep. And so you take that ability and you apply it to business.
You do, carefully.
Right.
Because these systems do what is lovingly called hallucination, meaning they just make stuff up. And they can sound incredibly convincing, down to details and names and dates. But if you ask it to actually cite where that came from, it can't find it. It made it up. Right.
And then if folks, for example, have, maybe this is true for all of the browsers now, where you do a search.
Yes.
And it gives you an AI summary first of what it has found in all of the and all of the results of that search. There have been times when I have looked up topics that I've reported on, and I see stuff like that is wrong, and that is just enough for me to go, I shouldn't be using this. I should not. Nobody should be using this. Why should business users trust it?
Well, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Okay.
There are definitely some ways in which it can help businesses be more efficient and more creative. So the energy that I might spend responding to a routine email that is simply go look up this piece of information and send it to somebody. I can create an agent for that. I don't have to do that. I can proof it, make sure it's correct, but I don't have to go through all the steps of making that happen.
Right. So you just real quick, yeah. So and you've taken it a step beyond what I knew you could do. I mean, I'm just in the mindset where you just communicate with chat and
that's the fun part.
That's the fun part. But there is a whole other step where you're able to design what you want it to do.
Absolutely.
Okay. And again, you just apply that to a business.
Yes.
Are there particular kinds of businesses that really lend themselves to the use of generative AI like this?
I think it really, I don't know if I'm going to say industry or anything of that nature, but it lends itself to businesses that have a certain kind of culture. We find that it's being accepted most readily in those learning orientation kinds of places where we are always trying new things, trying to get better, et cetera. Those are the folks who are finding the really cool use cases and using it in ways that are keeping teams together. I see a lot of folks talking about the Gen AI tool as an extra team member, getting some of the routine stuff done so the rest of the team can move forward on other things. That works really well. But there's also the whole piece of the data security is huge. And so if I'm a bank or a regulated industry, I need to be much more cautious because if I don't have the right data security measures in place, we could be in some serious trouble.
I'm going to say the word bad guy.
That's cool.
that a bad guy will snake in through the AI in some way and be able to get that information that I've already freed up.
Right.
For the AI to use to my benefit.
Exactly. And so if I am really using AI, let's go back to ChatGPT because that's a great example. If I am putting in numbers and names and facts about a business, those have just gone public.
Oh, okay.
And so in order for... Right.
Because you told Chat.
Right. And so
it includes it in all of the other information that it has.
Bingo.
So somebody 2 hours from then could go, oh, I'm kind of interested in, first, we have to make up a bank or else we're going to get sued. First Broaderable Bank and Trust.
Okay.
That would be available. That would be findable. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, and it's what's disconcerting about it is that oftentimes what's happening is that ChatGPT is sort of learning from itself. It's learning from what it told you before. It's kind of bringing that back to the conversation. So the other thing to worry about is if I'm working on something in particular, how do I know it's not bringing me specifics from other things that I had been doing that might or might not be relevant to what I'm working on now?
Okay, again, this sounds very imperfect.
Oh, it is. It's lovely in its imperfection.
Okay. Just real quick, a couple of use cases that you can think of off the top of your head?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I see a lot of people doing is stepping back and saying, how do I phrase this? And in fact, this is how my staff uses it a lot. Write the email and then say, I need this to be less angry, more professional, whatever that might be. So help it set the tone for what it is that I'm trying to put forward. I give you the words, you give it back to me in the tone I want it to be. See a lot of that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's fascinating.
A lot of that.
Okay.
And then the other is kind of is this complete? So one of my favorite things to do is to say, what questions would you need to ask me in order to give me advice on this decision? And it will start to run through considerations that I may never have thought about. If I say, who are the stakeholders? It'll give me a list of stakeholders to say, I didn't think about what the impact on that group might be. And so those are the places where we're really seeing it add value. Now, is it just fun to ask it to create a recipe out of what's in your pantry? Of course, that's a kick.
Yeah.
But it also brings together some of the other pieces that allow you to be more thoughtful and curated, for lack of a better word, about what you do.
So if I have a business problem and I'm a CEO or a CFO and I'm like, we really need to get from point A to point B, and I'm not really sure how to do it, I can use generative AI as a sounding board, as well as to give me a recipe for
absolutely
for gnocchi and pesto.
Okay, pesto and gnocchi sounds really good,
Yeah.
but that's a whole other story. It'll sit down. What it'll have you do is actually think through the problem in ways that you might not have done had you not had to give it a good prompt. So, yeah.
I take it also it can organize information. I mean, it can take a giant set of data, and order it in some way that is helpful to me.
Absolutely, quantitative and qualitative.
Which actually, I'm sure we'll find out about in this reporting webinar as well.
I want to hear how that goes. I will check in and see how that works.
Okay, well, I will let you know. So in corporate America, those are the kinds of ways that AI is being used right now.
That's the tip of the fingernail. Machine learning, deep learning, there's so many other things that folks are being able to automate. But in terms of just you and me sitting at a desk and trying to figure out the world, that's typically where we are.
What do we mean by machine learning?
That's where the machine actually learns from its own data how to course correct, essentially.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's autonomous.
Can be.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't be.
Okay. Okay. So I know the executive education programs at Kelley are working on teaching companies and company leaders how to use and implement AI. Are these typically smaller businesses or medium-sized? When I say small, maybe like 2 to 50 employees. Medium-sized, are you getting public companies and large private companies?
Honestly, it's all over the map. Yes, because large companies are doing exactly what you're doing this afternoon and bringing much of the training internally, we are seeing more folks who say, I have these 6 people who are going to need to do this. But what we've done with the training is actually break it down by function. So when you come in, it's, this is leading with AI for finance. And Majid will sit down with you and say, here are the ways in which it can help you with financial decision making. Here's your data security issues. Here's all the ways in which you need to check it, et cetera. And then you'll actually have that hands-on online class with him to say, here's the actual use case and what you want to do with it. Go try it. So it's a playpen, but it's a supervised playpen, if you will, in terms of ensuring that as people learn, they learn best practice.
So I'm Mason, the wary CEO, and I've come to you and I'm like, look, I know that we need to do this, but there are a bunch of roadblocks here.
Yep.
Tell me, what are the roadblocks that I'm experiencing?
Well, first and foremost, you may have people who say, I'm afraid of new technology. Anytime we ask people to adopt something new, It's not really that they're afraid of the technology itself. They're afraid of appearing stupid. They're afraid of losing their comfort zone. And there's a psychological shift that's required where people have to feel safe to make mistakes. And if it's the kind of culture where we haven't set that up, you and I are going to have a conversation about whether this is the right kind of thing to do for your company if experimentation isn't something that you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. How about, I'm afraid this is going to cost me a lot of money.
Oh, most of what you have is free as long as you are very careful about data security. You have you have paid programs for sure. And probably the ones with the best data security are the ones that are already wedded to the programs that you have that already have that secure base. But most of the programs that you need to just do the basics, free version would work just fine.
Wow. Okay. Let's take a quick break so we can hear from our sponsor. This is the IBJ Podcast.
Taft, today's modern law firm. At Taft, we cultivate a highly respectful, transparent workplace that fosters creativity, teamwork, inclusion, and diversity. We couple our culture with a client-first approach, rewarding lawyers who understand their clients' goals and work to deliver success. Taft, the modern law firm. To learn more, visit taftlaw.com.
All right, we're back with this week's edition of the IBJ Podcast and my conversation with Carolyn Goerner about the ways companies can get started implementing artificial intelligence. Okay, Carolyn, I've got a bunch of hardware, back in my company from the 1960s. How in the world am I going to integrate this with AI?
Do you have a tablet or a laptop? How about a phone?
I might be able to get one of those.
and that is really what I think where people say, I need the really powerful laptop, or I need the main, look, I'm going to date myself, mainframe, or whatever that might be. And the reality is I've got ChatGPT on my phone. I can sit in the grocery store and say, what would go well with a Gnocchi? And it'll tell me pesto.
Okay. But don't I need to integrate all my machines so that they're receptive to AI somehow?
No, not necessarily. It depends on how you want to use it. If you feel like your infrastructure isn't going to be helped or isn't going to be capable, let's just play with the way that you think about how you use that infrastructure. We don't have to play with the machines themselves.
Okay. So there's a problem of, I don't think I've got anybody here that really knows how to use this stuff. I guess that's why I'm talking to you right now, is because you're going to teach us.
Theoretically.
Okay.
No, I think the truth is that people who really are way smarter than I am around AI will tell you that they don't know anything about AI because the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to know. And so IU has a program that I've been part of this semester called the Generative AI Faculty Fellows. And it's been great because I get to interact with my peers across the campuses and talk about the ways that we can use AI in teaching and in research and those kinds of things. And so what I love about this is the community that it creates around all of us saying, hey, I tried that. What do you think of this? Would that work for you? And those conversations are great, I think, for the culture of just bringing people together.
Charlotte Westerhouse Renfro.
I love her.
Who is a member of your faculty,
yes.
Also a columnist for IBJ,
yes.
Recently wrote a column about what to do when your company is trying to develop an advantage with AI, but you're running into problems with employees,
right?
For example. And what are the ways you can persuade them to embrace, God help them, trust and use AI in meaningful ways? I'm at an advantage here because I have the column right in front of me, but I'm going to ask you.
If Charlotte wrote it, it's correct and lovely. What did she say that I missed?
Well, that's what she said. She said, okay, so you need buy-in from, this is my term, influencers.
Yes.
Within the department.
Yes.
If you have one or two people who are enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
You need to get them to become evangelists, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's really true of any change initiative, but it's particularly true of AI because those are the people who will say, oh my gosh, let me show you the dinner that I just made last night. And they will share the use case and they'll share, this was so much fun. Let me show you what we did. And that's what it takes. there's this interesting phenomenon that, the first couple of people have to be really brave to try something new. And then the folks coming along just have to listen. And so you've got to have those first really brave people. And it works best if those people are able to say, yeah, I did this. Let me tell you how many times I messed it up before I tried.
Got it.
And that just sends the message that it's okay to play.
Okay. Another point she made was you're cooking with gas if you can illustrate an immediate return.
Amen.
Say, look at this. Tap, 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 tap on the computer.
Yes.
Oh, we just saved $5,000.
Yes. Or I just saved an hour. Or, and so one of the things that we've been using this for a while is to take, a slew of comments. So say I'm teaching a 300-person class and I've got teaching evaluation comments. I can feed them in and get a summary back of what's actionable, what do I need to think about, what can I celebrate? And it'll use that data to basically save me hours of reading to give me the gist of what's actionable.
Okay, great. Another point you made, persuade your workers that AI fluency is going to be necessary.
Yeah.
If not at your company, for the rest of their careers.
Exactly. I think we're past the age of saying, AI for X.
Yeah.
Because that sort of makes it sound like it's the frosting of the week and you just have to figure out what cake. We're beyond that. AI is here. It needs to be part of the fabric of how we lead and how we make decisions and what we do. And so based on that, I think understanding, at least at a fundamental level, the way in which decisions are being made, the way in which the data is being used, all of those just basic concepts about how does this work become really important for folks to know. Because the thing that will remain constant as AI continues to evolve is that people have to be thoughtful about what they want from it.
Mm-hmm. You have to know what you want and how to ask for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, is that in essence what you're teaching?
Yes, except we're also doing the follow-up question, which is, what am I missing?
Okay.
What else should I consider? What did I forget? and that is also another way to really make sure that we're surfacing what we need to for decisions.
Okay. The quality of data. What you get out is only as good as what you put in. That's what we've always said about
garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out. And that's true for AI as well.
Of course. Yeah. If I were to go feed a truckload of really bad data in and then ask AI to give me back a response based on that, I'm going to get bad data. Because all it knows is what it's been given.
Okay. And another point, which, it's funny when you look at some of the stuff, you think, well, of course, duh. No, but it's scary when you're talking about AI. It's scary. Actually, reward employees who use AI correctly. Tell them they're doing a good job.
Yes.
Which in some workplaces doesn't happen. I mean, you don't get a lot of feedback.
That's exactly right. And you also oftentimes only get feedback for results, not for process.
Yeah, or for mistakes.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this is one of those things where you have to go with the 1% better rule. Have I gotten 1% better at this today? That's a win. Because you don't just wake up and know it all.
Mm-hmm. It's. I'm just talking off the cuff.
That's
here.
fine.
I'm just trying to imagine, the conversation when the boss walks in and says, "Hey, we're going to do this."
Yeah.
And here's why. You don't need to be afraid of it. This sounds like a long process to me. Mm-hmm. It sounds. I mean, it's not something. My apologies to the Pointer Institute. Something that you can do in an hour-long webinar. It's not. Meaning for brown bag lunches. No. That this is a process of getting people on board and getting them to use things correctly. Mm-hmm. So I should not, if I'm a business owner or manager, expect to have instant results.
No. Those brown bags are great when people have a basic understanding and can start sharing tips. That's when it really makes a difference. And maybe you have a culture where people didn't talk to each other, but if they can start sharing what they've learned, that can really pick up. So it does have those small 1 hour things, Pointer Center or whatever, they have their place. But the point is to say that you learn in increments. I learn this use case and I figure out how to make this decision. And then I use this use case and I figure out how to make that decision. And frankly, that's how we've designed the class is by the end, folks will come in the first week and do the general security, blah, blah, blah. Second week, they have a live day with the instructor. Third week, they have a half a day online with the instructor. And the whole point is to say, what's the one thing you want to move the needle on? And then the fourth week, we asked them to come back with a project and say, what'd you do? And so that's really how you learn AI, is in a series of, okay, I got this. Now I've got this. And if I don't have a use case, if I don't have, you're right when you said, see, I saved $5,000. If I don't have that, then the impetus to keep going is just going to die.
Right. So, continual wins.
Absolutely.
Right. So that, I'm assuming that means, to what you've been saying, like, don't change everything all at once.
No.
But change this function, this thing that Mason has to do from 8 to 10 o'clock in the morning every day. Let's investigate how AI can deal with that.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
then move on if you can. Yeah. So again, Mason, the wary CEO, is like, implementing this just sounds like a disaster, and I'm going to screw it up somehow.
Respond.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Find somebody who can help you figure out the data issues in your firm. And for me, that's just the most important thing to start with, is that sense of data security. Because without those parameters, it can get scary. So do I know what's protected? Do I know where what I'm putting out there is going? Do I know who has access to what? Answer those questions first, and then it's almost as if you fastened your seatbelt and you can relax.
Is that, I mean, when you're talking to your tech guys about this, are you saying I need a data audit?
That could be helpful. That's absolutely one way to go about it. It's more a sense of, where do we have data that are potentially, well, I guess it is an audit, where data are potentially vulnerable. And where would we need to be careful? Where do we need policies or guardrails in place for our employees to do no harm? Okay.
Oh, so it's like a usage policy as well.
Absolutely.
It's like, before we get into this, we need to set up guardrails.
Absolutely.
And here's the data that we feel comfortable using, and there's some other stuff that we're not. And here's how we're comfortable using it, the kinds of questions that we might be interested in.
Exactly. I'm a really, really bad bowler. So the analogy that I use is putting the little things in the bumper, the bumpers and the alleys, so that you don't, so that you can't hurt yourself, basically. And those are really important to establish before you start throwing balls.
And I would assume also, just like anything that your company does, you need to have a very well-defined objective.
Yes.
You need to know exactly who you are, or essentially who you are.
Yes.
What it is, where you're trying to go, and what do you need to find out to get there. I guess in this case,
exactly.
You don't necessarily really do know what you need. You want the AI to help you.
And frankly, as businesses and people evolve to try to meet whatever's happening, that could change. And so what I love about this is the opportunity to stop and check in. So here's where I was, here's what we're doing now. And my favorite aspect, frankly, is the ability to go back a year ago and say, what was I doing then? How does this compare to how I was thinking about this then? Where have we come? And it's a neat way to sort of trace the evolution of what you're doing.
Okay. Again, I'm the wary CEO.
I love it.
There's so much technology, so many tools out there. I have no idea which one I should pick.
Start with a free one.
Okay.
Honestly, it's, as long as your data are protected, don't invest until you know your use case, would be my advice.
Okay. I would assume that there are consultants out there that would love to come in and really take a close look at my company and tell me exactly what I need to do for whatever however much that's going to cost. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not just the wary CEO. I'm the penny pinching CEO. Do I need a consultant?
No. What I would recommend, though, is looking for a course, however you want to define it, that says, how do you strategically manage AI in your organization? And that will allow you to step back and, rather than getting in the weeds, say, how do we want to use this? How do I need to manage this big picture?
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you'll be able to make a lot more informed decisions.
Yeah. I would assume that every industry has some sort of like industry advocacy group. The people that that make stuffed olives have an advocacy group. People who make horseradish have an advocacy group. People who make the news,
absolutely
make the news. People who report the news for a living,
do you
have an advocacy? Of course we do.
Oh, I love it.
We do. So I'm guessing that if you contacted your, the group, that watches over your industry, that they probably at this point have a sense of what could help.
I think so. Higher education is always fractured and interesting as an industry. But if I'm looking at the accreditation standards, for example, they're coming back and saying, here's the responsible use of AI. So as a faculty fellow, I know that it's my job to cite, I used AI to help co-create this. If I'm going to share it with somebody, I can't claim it as my own work. And that seems pretty basic, but it's also, especially for students, a parameter that you really want to make sure people are clear on. Yeah.
But I mean, case in point, the Poynter Institute, which is, I believe, offering this course for us today. They're great. Essentially an advocacy group for journalism. Our podcast last week was with a guy from the National Association of Convenience Stores. And I know that they're looking at that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, there have to be resources out there for almost anybody.
The course that we offer, we have two resources available that I actually think are pretty cool, if I might. The first is that one of my colleagues, by the name of Brian Williams, created this phenomenal interactive class that is, we call it lovingly Gen AI 101. And it's available to license for companies. And so we can share what we developed for our internal use at IU with other organizations. You pay less if you're okay with the IU branding staying in place, but it's definitely got that sense of, it's a 3-hour course. And so, yes, it does the prompts. It takes you all the way through making the agents, but it's very big on verification, data security, all of those things. A course like that, wonderful. Then you're also seeing, this is not something I would do in a day, but if you see a multi-series, like maybe a multi-week course of here's strategic AI for your organization, here's how to think about the big picture, definitely want to consider something like that because it's not something you can absorb in today, an hour. Today is not going to be going to do it. And so for me, those are the two offerings that we've got that I think get at it.
Okay. What is it? The SMART goals acronym?
Specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound.
Okay. Let's just go with measurable.
Okay.
When am I going to be able to say definitively, wow, I've measured this. This is good.
I do it in terms of time saved.
Okay.
So I no longer spend, 15 to 20 minutes answering one email because I have to go locate the data for it and dig through with my own, subpar filing system to try to find what it is that I know I put somewhere that would make sense. I can do a much better job of those kinds of things. I'm much more efficient.
Okay. So I am Mason, the wary and penny pinching company owner.
Yes.
What is my first step?
I think your first step is to actually try to play with an AI program, a free version of something, just to make your shoulders come down a little bit so you can take a deep breath.
Okay.
Because it's big and scary until you play with it.
So throw out some names. Which one should I play with?
If you've got the Microsoft products, you can go Copilot, Gemini, you can go to ChatGPT. They've got a free version. Perplexity is actually one of my favorites because it's like Google on steroids. So you can go, a Google search will give you that nice little AI summary. Perplexity will search further and give you citations for everything that you've just gotten.
Should I imagine that it is a genie? And the genie just came out of the bottle. And I'm like, okay, here are my problems. I'm not at the wish stage yet, but here are my problems. It's that easy. You can just start asking questions.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And the reason I love that analogy is because what happens is people start making wishes too soon, and then they say, oh, it didn't work.
That's
and
good.
So you're stopping. No, but you're stopping and saying, well, wait, what are the problems I want to solve with those wishes?
Oh, right.
And what are the ways in which I need to think about this? And what might happen if I resolved a wish? And do I really want what I ask for? And all of those are the right questions to be asking, as opposed to, oh, genie, rub the bottle and make me AI friendly. It's much better done incrementally.
Okay. All right. Well, that's enough to hit people with today.
Okay, that works for me.
I will tell you how this thing works out. I'm certain what's going to happen is they're going to talk about, hey, if you didn't know what AI was, here's what AI is, and here are some uses in your industry as a reporter, as an editor, ways that you can use it.
Use case. And
then go check it out.
Yep.
I will bet you $20 that's what's going to happen.
I would put dinner on that too.
Okay. All right. So that's the beginning.
Yep.
And then who knows what.
Exactly.
All
No,
right.
my husband and I love eating downtown. Where are we going? Because I know that's what it'll be.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it.
Very glad to be here. Thanks for the conversation.
My thanks again to Carolyn Goerner. And folks, before you get on with the rest of your week, there are several stories in the latest issue of IBJ I want to draw to your attention. First up, proposals for data centers are sweeping into Indiana communities with greater intensity, and in many cases, residents are mounting staunch opposition. Marek Mazurek reports that 3 Indiana counties have passed moratoriums on data center developments, even as some state leaders extol their virtues. Also in this week's issue, Dave Lindquist reports on the surge in cultural districts across Indianapolis. And Sam Stahl profiles youth leadership champion Dennis Bland, this year's winner of IBJ's Michael A. Carroll Award. And again, you can find these stories in the latest print edition of IBJ or online at IBJ.com. Now, I will tell you, it is quite a bit easier to access all the latest business news and all of IBJ's data on Central Indiana's business community and economy if you're a subscriber. We're running a promotion right now that gives you complete access for $1 per week for 3 months, just to get a sense of how valuable and original our content is. Just go to IBJ.com and click on the subscribe button. And thanks again for making time this week for the IBJ Podcast. I'm Mason King. Hang in there, everybody. We'll be off next week, but then back with more on December the 8th. In the meantime, I hope you have a terrific holiday.
Whether it's healthcare innovation, major infrastructure, or global sports impact, Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick tells the stories of Indiana's groundbreakers and game changers. It's the must-listen show for business, civic, and community leaders across the state. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts or at IBJpodcast.com.
Want to give your team a real edge? The IBJ Group Plan delivers unlimited access to every story, every report, every video from IBJ and Inside Indiana Business for your whole team. Cover some or all of your employees with one simple payment. The more you add, the more you save. It's smart, it's flexible, and it saves you up to 30% off the standard rate. Already have IBJ subscribers in your office? Group up and save big. Learn more and get started now at IBJ.com/group-plan.